Recording.
Are we all set?
No.
I appreciate clarity. No ambiguity with that answer.
All right, we're on now.
I probably will go at that. I'm sorry. Call to order this regular meeting of the Peabody Public Library Board of Trustees for December 14, 2022. We will look at the quorum. The only member not present is Mark Parker, whose name I had a hard time remembering at a prior meeting. And I looked back on it and I had shared with some of the other folks. I've known Mark longer than I've known anybody else here. So Nate, that's what I'm going to blame. It's just too long. And we'll call the meeting to order. I first of all want to talk about the executive director position. Did invite all three of the candidates here to the meeting to supplement or offer anything else that they may have forgotten or that they wanted to add that they didn't have an opportunity to note at the interview when we had spoken before. I guess we'll just go, Chastity isn't here, we'll just go in alphabetical order. Michael, did you have anything else that you wanted to add?
Just I appreciate the opportunity to come and visit with you guys. It was a great visit. I appreciate it.
Okay, I appreciate that, thank you. And Joe, did you have anything that you felt you left out or didn't say or wish you would have been asked or anything like that?
I too am honored that I had the opportunity and I look forward to that.
Fantastic. I appreciate that. You guys, it is a public meeting. You are absolutely welcome to stay. If you're more comfortable not staying, you are welcome to not stay. That is entirely up to you. I will go ahead and note for both of your purposes, and Chastity, this is true as well. I just thought we had fantastic. We basically had three candidates, but I think it's fair to speak on behalf of the board that we could have hired any one of the candidates. So that's a good thing that made the decision. I think it's going to make the decision a little tougher, but at the same time, I guess that's what I would like to offer. Anybody else want to offer general comments, or failing that, I would entertain a motion.
I was just going to say thank you so much for both coming tonight, letting us know for talking.
Appreciate that. Anything else? Okay. Does anyone feel comfortable making a motion regarding the candidates for this election?
I would like to make a motion.
Ms. Vicki?
I'd like to make a motion to authorize Greg Hockmeyer to make a formal offer to Michael Ashby and negotiate compensation within the advertised range.
Is there a second?
Carmen
Carmen seconds. Is there further discussion? Hearing no discussion, all in favor of the motion to authorize me as the presiding officer to make a formal offer to Michael Ashby and to negotiate a compensation package within the range advertised, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Mr. Ashby, I will be in contact with you. And Joe, thank you very much too. And I appreciate that. You guys are both welcome to stay, but I know it's winter and I know it's getting dark out. And I don't know if either one of you are on the clock right now, so you are welcome to stay if you'd like to, but you do not have to, okay? All right, thank you, Joe.
Thank you.
With that, we will move to the minutes from the prior meetings. We do have, I think, 3 sets of minutes. As 2 of those are executive sessions,
Would you like them all separated?
I'm thinking not. Since they aren't executive sessions, there's really not much to executive session minutes.
Okay.
So the motion may be as you would take, but I would certainly go for a bulk motion.
Greg, I have a question. I can have Carmen sign the ones for December 7th because she was there via phone. Is that correct? Okay.
Well, and oftentimes you have people abstain if they were not at meetings. I'm not sure that's absolutely necessary. Sometimes you can get into problems with quorum to being able to approve those. So I think she can still attest to those minutes.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
If we had an interim or a pro tem secretary, that's fine. They could certainly fill that one too. Okay.
Make a motion to approve the minutes for November, the regular minutes from November 9th, the executive session from November 9th, and the executive session from December 7th.
Move to approve the minutes from the regular meeting on November 9th, the executive session on November 9th, and the executive session on December 7th. Is there a second?
Spencer seconds.
Spencer seconds. Chris made the motion. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of approving the motion to approve the minutes, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Minutes are approved. Old business is Darla.
Darla's going to be on the screen.
Oh.
So.
Well, I'm gonna go back here then. Is that okay?
You're going to lose a bet to your colleague, Mr. Rice. Is that why you're wearing a Susie soccer shirt tonight? Or you just did something? You did?
Yeah, I coached Mr. Price.
Well, that, we don't need to do
No, it was amazing when he started working. I was like, wow, that's gold. Let's go.
Golds are gold. That's
I mean, I had a contractor coach that was 23 years old, so that doesn't necessarily mean a ton here.
I was not that young.
Well, I appreciate the team spirit.
I'm sure I have
It was-
their contact information
So, for the
already.
Golden Eagles, right? I didn't like how the Golden Eagle looked on the T's, so I had a maroon eagle put in it.
We're the golden eagles.
Yeah, I had no idea we were the Golden Eagles.
Because everything is always the bald eagle. Like,
Thank you for allowing me to present to you like this.
Sorry.
I know Mary is going to give you the outline of here, so that you can kind of follow along through. But if not, please ask for one, and she'll give you one. First of all, I guess, you guys all know that part of our strategic plan was to go find free. We feel like since strategic plan is going to take place in the first of the year, it would be a nice time if we decided to implement this, to be able to do it at the first of the year. So that's why Mary wanted me to present to you now, so it gives us time
down the
to
lower left-hand
get it
corner.
approved
yeah,
if
very,
it's
very on
approved.
The other left.
And also
The other
just
one.
implement it
Hmm?
and get the word
No,
out.
that's that volume. I wanted the other volume.
So what does it mean to go?
Then it is there, yes.
First of all, it just means that there
You're in
would
the
be
correct spot.
overdue fees for books, movies, and music. Items that we would
Perfect.
still access, like late fees for, would be items like hotspots, and home goods, our lawn games, our kits. Those would manually be added to the patron's account when they bring those items back late, so those penalties would still be there for that. Question you may be having is, how do we keep people accountable? I know one of the things I first thought of was when I even heard of going fine free, was like, no way. People need to be accountable to bring back their materials, and how do we keep them accountable if there's no consequences for it? The way we do that is the materials that are borrowed, at this point, if they're 45 days late, they get charged for it. It goes lost, and Evergreen charges their account for the cost of the book. With the going fine free, that takes place a little bit sooner, at 28 days. So after 28 days, the patron actually gets billed for the cost of the book. So there's the accountability part of it. Some of the advantages of going fine free. It creates good morale for patrons and staff alike. Patrons would love it for obvious reasons. Staff would not have to disappoint someone telling them that they can't check out because they're over the fine limit. And it do frequently happen that people will come up with an armload of books and realize that they're over the fine limit, they don't have the cash on them, they have to leave the books behind. Also, people are asking quite often, when is our next Read Away Our Fines event that we have? We do those in the summer and the winter, doing reading programs. And I believe that it's been over $500 each event that fines have been read away during those events. It increases circulation. Research has shown that patrons who have been hindered in the past by fines do return to the library, and increased patrons should result in increased circulation. Costs spent on Unique. Right now we pay $11.95 per account that gets sent to collections. Now I tried to contact Unique. They could not, well I did contact Unique. They just could not give me statistics on how many of the accounts were actually sent for just overdues and how much was for late, or not late, lost or damaged items. So I don't have statistics on them, but I'm sure that there's got to be, a good amount of those accounts that are just being sent to collections, and we're paying $11.95 to just try to get overdues brought back in. Disadvantages. I mean, we can't talk about advantages without having disadvantages. Disadvantages is you're going to have patrons that are probably going to take advantage of those popular items or the items that are on the new shelf, items that are on hold that they can't renew. Hopefully, you're going to have that anyway. People that want the items, if it's on hold, they will pay late fees to be able to keep it. You're going to have that. There's no way around it. Hopefully, it will be minimal. I know that from what I have seen from other libraries that have gone fine-free, they do in their advertising, put out that plea to please for patrons to return new materials or things that are on hold in an appropriate manner, and not take advantage of that 28 days. Statistics. So information that I found running Evergreen reports. I did run these in the middle of October, so this is as of October 14th. How many patrons currently owe overdue fees to Peabody? There is 1,971 patrons that owe overdue fees, just overdue fees to us. How many Peabody patrons are over the $10 in fine limits, which limits them for being able to check out materials? 507 of our patrons cannot check out materials currently due to the fines. How many of those are inactive? There's 111 of those 507 that are inactive, which just means they have let their library card basically expire. But the accounts don't go anywhere as long as there's late fees on there, so they are still in our system. But how many of them, and I did say those were active accounts, so how many of them are inactive accounts is 396. So I'll back up. Those actually, the inactive accounts are the ones that have let their accounts expire but won't go anywhere. Active accounts are the ones that are still in our system. They haven't expired. That's 111. What's the total amount that has been billed to patrons for overdue fines that are on our records or in the files in Evergreen right now? $18,978.81. That's the amount that has been billed to patrons. One amount has been paid, $1,551.33. That's leaving the balance owed in late fees by patrons at $17,428.48. That means that only 8.17% of late fees that have been billed, fees that have been billed, have actually been paid. So we're not really seeing a whole lot of people paying their late fees anyway, as you can see like that, which is just a shame, and it's sad to think that that's our people today that feel like they don't owe or pay off their bills, but unfortunately that's where we're at. Another thing we need to look at is how many libraries are fine-free in the state of Indiana. The research that I found was as of May 6th, 2022, 94 out of the 236 libraries in Indiana are fine-free. Now, how many of those are Evergreen libraries? 53. And I believe we're at 127 libraries in Evergreen system now. Now, some of the fine-free libraries that are nearest to us in our immediate area, I found 14 libraries. 10 of those 14 are fine-free. So a lot of the surrounding areas and libraries that are around us, the majority of them are fine-free. I think it's just the trend of the way libraries are going. I hope that you just consider the facts that we have here. I personally, like I said, was completely against it because I thought that there was no accountability. But after doing my research and seeing the statistics and how people are even paying their fees anyway, and how it does restrict them from coming into the library and keep them from checking out materials, and knowing that there is still accountability for it.
Sorry. Are you okay? I didn't finish it. I didn't mean to do that.
That's all right.
I think you get the general gist, though.
Does she have a big finish or something?
No, she didn't say that.
on the dance.
Is it appropriate to call on members of the audience who perhaps have, I believe I had to leave at a point in time where there was a discussion and somebody from the Allen County Public Library maybe had some interesting statistics and information about this.
They're fine free right now, right?
No, we are not. We are fine-free for juveniles.
Okay.
It is being proposed actually tomorrow to go fine-free for everyone.
Okay.
And you had done some interesting kind of data gathering.
Because this is all your
about that,
bailiwick
right?
wick too, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
So statistically, across libraries across the United States, has seen a huge shift from charging fines to going fine-free. In the last 5 to 6 years, it's down to like 35% of libraries are charging fines. So actually, it's the minority that are actually charging.
No,
fines.
that's nationwide.
Nationwide.
Right? Because in Indiana, it sounds like it's.
Yeah.
Okay.
And
Indiana's not the leading edge of something.
I detect a note of sarcasm.
High five, Spencer. Yes.
And a lot of this has come out of ALA talking about that fines actually provide a barrier for those that we need to be serving the most. A fine for any of us might be no big deal. That might be the difference between food on the table for some. And so it's disproportionately hurting those that need it the most.
When a book is deemed lost and charges me for that, is now, and I know that it would be up probably to us to decide what would happen with that. Let's say if someone loses a book, it's now juvenile fine free for younger people. Are there privileges to check out books impacted until that lost book is paid for?
So our limit is $15. If you owe more than $15, you're not allowed to borrow materials. Some children's books, it could take several of those to get to that point. Adult books, one book, you'll hit that. Once those materials are returned, that replacement cost goes away and they're for return or returned. So the billing actually a lot of times is that nudge to say, hey, you still have this book that you might have lost or forgot about that or whatever. Bring it back and you're good to go.
So conceptually, the difference being the late fee is permanent. You have to pay that no matter what.
Yeah.
The lost book fee, you still have to pay unless you just bring it.
It offers a redemption
Exactly.
without money.
So Nikki, you had talked to the board at length about us going fine free in the past. Well,
Hey,
okay.
I don't know.
Ad nauseam. But,
She did confess to being tardy, I think, on returning some of
I
her books.
did, I am one of the
Yes.
people that.
and we had that conversation. As the treasurer, I just found it hard to get behind going fine free. After we've done all of our board work in the strategic plan, I think I could be swayed with the data and the research your data, you had the same thing, we had those conversations before. But my question, I guess, would always, there still kind of goes to, if we're not having overdue fines for the items, for the hotspots, home good, long games, those kids and those things, are we considering those lost at 28 days, or do they still go to 45 days because they have fines?
Are you talking about going fine-free?
Yeah, if we go fine-free, because...
There's no fines.
Oh, no, it says after 28 days
For
are considered
hotspots
stolen,
and-
or not stolen, I didn't say lost. Lost, not lost.
Right.
But you're talking specifically about the items that would still access late fees.
Yeah,
at
do
the
those
top.
late fees just continue to grow until they just keep going?
Okay, late fees stop at $10.
Okay.
Per item.
Because the kids,
Well,
the hotspots and those things, because how would we recoup, what would we keep?
Well,
people-
hotspots we wouldn't include as a fine-free item.
No, those are on the fee, those are.
Well, see, I'm not looking at the thing, so I don't know. I'm winging it here, guys.
No, you're okay. Because that was the thing that I was curious about
I
when
got
we were
it
talking through
somewhere.
it.
Yeah, you're right.
The overdue fees for the hotspots, home goods, lawn games, and kits. If we're gonna go fine free, if we decide to go that route and it says that we would overdue or we would go to lost after 28 days, does that include everything? Because I think, do all fines stop at $10? Even for
Well,
hotspots?
Steve Darley's the expert at this. He's, at Allen County, do they
I-
stop at 10 or 15?
15, yeah.
Okay, and
Well,
per item.
so it's $5 per item,
Okay,
so, yeah.
I believe it's 10.
But the hotspots, we would be treating the same way that we did in the past, right?
They would be
Yeah, but-
exempt, basically.
So
Exactly.
exempt from the fine-free, which means they're
Right,
subject to a
but
fine.
Chris is saying, are we changing it across the board to say it's now lost in 28 days?
Yeah, every
Everything
item.
Oh, instead of
is lost in
45.
Instead of 45.
Oh, well, I think that would depend on what was proposed and what we wanted to adopt.
Are there any systems constraints with Evergreen or anything?
Well, that's what I have to double check with Evergreen, but it's my understanding everything goes at 28 days.
Through Evergreen?
Right,
Okay.
right,
But they would still have that option to bring it back.
correct.
Yeah, just-
And it's kind of salty for, like, the hotspots are $5 per day that you're late, so.
Well, they aren't cheap.
But, okay, so that's what I was asking, because you said that our fines are capped at like $15?
That's Allen County.
No, ours are 10, you said 10,
Or
right?
5, you said 5.
5 per
Per
item,
item.
15.
Yeah, ours are 10
I
total,
believe
right?
it's 10 per.
Per item. So even if it's, so the hotspot's gone for 2 days, I'm only going to be assessed a $10 late fee and then that's it? I can keep it as long as the rest of the 30 days and then bring it back and it's only,
With the hotspot? no.
or is it 5? Okay,
It's
that-
$5 per day on that hotspot.
It's already
Indefinitely?
exempt.
Yes.
I like that. I like that.
There you go.
All right,
I like
all
that.
right.
I'm gonna make a suggestion to move forward, because I don't know how many of us are ready to make a decision on this today, and I think what we need is a specific proposal.
The whole policy?
Yes. So would you please talk to Darla about
Your
an action?
questions.
Exactly, yes. She's outlined things here, but this is a little bit more rhetorical than it is policy. This
I
is-
think
this
in
is-
concept we're probably leaning towards being on board, but we need to.
I guess now that I'm hearing, I think we're leaning that way, but I think we need to know what we would be saying, okay? And I don't know that we're in the best position to develop all of the protocols and the rules and policies.
Okay, we don't make policy, Evergreen makes policy, so we'll follow what Evergreen
And
says.
incorporate, yes.
However, I believe they will allow us the ability on our hotspots or any other items that you deem something that shouldn't fall under being fine-free, we can mark them that way, and we can probably handle it the way we want to. I do have to double check into that.
Okay.
Okay, my only concern is, it's not a problem with you, because I know we wanted to start in 2023, but it sounds like we may not be able to start till February of 2023, if we want to go this route.
I'm sorry, if someone wants to
Well,
move that we adopt sort of a policy, like I say, I feel like we have
It is-
sort of a concept, not a policy.
Changed in the policies that we have, just be a little different, but
I don't know, I just feel like, I wouldn't wanna rush it, and one other thing I would like to see happen have
You're
it.
putting on the brakes for this, and I know you were the big.
I know,
No, that's
No,
very thoughtful.
I just wanna say, I think this would be a good opportunity to like publicize it and make it a big deal, bring attention to it, try to get all those people that had fines in. And that would just take, I don't wanna rush into it and not get that publicized.
Would we be considering then going fine-free? It wouldn't be fine-free moving forward. It
Well,
would
and that's
be
the question,
forgiveness
is do
for
we offer
the
amnesty
approximately
to the
$17,000.
$18,000 that we still have out?
Yeah.
Is that, just for clarity, is that
Don't have
almost
any.
19?
Well, we don't, what's that?
Is that from just 2022 or is that?
I did, she
cumulative?
didn't give a span.
I kind of, what
I
I
can't-
gathered was 18,900-ish, or is what has been billed out in late fees.
Over the time that we
I-
had Evergreen or just this year?
Oh,
Well, then she mentioned in
Just
there
this
that-
year.
18,000 just this year?
She mentioned
Wow.
as long as.
I didn't realize we were losing that much money.
You thought that too?
Yeah, I thought she said that in the video. I thought she said that it was just as long as we've had records.
Oh,
So this
well,
is
then it's been a
cumulative.
long time, then it's been since 2013. I
Okay,
can't believe
okay,
that.
that's what, I thought it was going
Yeah,
back.
I'm pretty sure she said that.
Anyway,
Well,
does that,
one thing that isn't in the policies that we're gonna have coming up is a hotspot. The late fee on the hotspot's not in the policy. Or did I miss it?
It might, is it on those,
I don't, no, it's not on the, there's no hotspot on the, if the price isn't
is it under
located.
Realia? Are prices under Realia? I haven't looked yet. I mean, I've looked at it.
It's not in the new,
Chris has a younger and sharper mind than I do, so he says it's not
Fine.
terrible.
it might be, I just didn't see it.
Okay, so you want hotspots listed on here.
Okay, which page?
I don't have it have a
Incur
page.
fines of $5 per day per item.
So-
Under fees, is that considered equipment?
That was what I was wondering, 'cause if we can check it out, is that,
Yes.
or is
Yeah, I
that?
don't see it on here. And normally I thought we had equipment under here.
Well,
It might be in the collection.
Under fine
department
fees,
policy.
in the narrative part, Spencer is correct.
Mhm.
It says opening materials incur 25 cents per day per item. The equipment may incur fines of $5 per day per item. I assume that's all equipment. Hotspots.
Yeah,
Is
correct.
that-
Well, it does have the 225 cap on there too, so.
Oh, okay. The hots, okay, and the hotspots, I assume that the rules worked out for a specific reason.
Okay.
I
No,
mean-
Is that okay? Would you work
There's
with?
two things I'm concerned about, but go ahead, finish your
Well, I was
thought.
just gonna ask if you would work with Darla and specifically that, I would think he'd task force it to Darla, but she'll need to take into consideration Evergreen and propose, still propose.
Okay, but you really, because you really don't want to see the whole policy, you just, let me back up. First of all, if you guys decide to go fine free, it's on Mary and Darla to do whatever we have to do to go fine free, all right? It sounds like you're hesitant because,
Well, I just wanna
You don't
see
have
what it
all-
would look like in policy, in our, for the policy manual, to what it would look like written in the
you're
policy.
talking about the changes that we made and
Yeah.
updating and all that other stuff. What I'd have to do is go in there, and we probably won't be able to do this today, because it sounds like I'm already making changes on it.
Well, so what I've seen, I don't mind approving the policy manual as it is, but making an adjustment to,
Equipment, have equipment on there.
or even,
Well, it'll get really it'll get really long if we have to list like all the realia, all the.
no, I don't think we
you know,
need to, as long as we're okay with what,
And equipment.
Equipment is, right.
But the cost for the equipment varies on what it is.
but it's capped at 225 in the policy.
It's capped 225 as what it says as, and I don't have the page in
Or
front
the
of me
cost,
again.
whichever is less.
Yeah.
That's what is capped.
Yeah. That's what I was saying, because on the next page, it goes in an itemized, like, if it's more expensive, these are the new expenses, because we can't find it. Would that cover the hotspots, 225 to that?
Yes.
Okay.
But you gotta remember, we have other high-ticket items out there.
Well,
that
and
we
the other,
circulate.
the other part of this that I think that we're kind of questioning, that I'm questioning, is implementation. And how we would implement, would we just do general amnesty?
I'll talk to Darla, we'll get all the nuts and bolts figured out, and I'll come back with you with that information. It's okay, Greg, I mean, I'd rather do it right in the way that you guys want me to,
But
that
I'm-
you're doing your jobs.
I'm with Nikki on this, and to make it a large family, if we're gonna go that route,
Yeah.
And I would, you know, I'm not saying that I would vote to grant amnesty on all of those and just try to do a fresh roll of the dice or a.
Start all over.
And yes,
Okay.
but let's see, but I think we're gonna wanna do, very possibly, we can work out terms with Mr. Ashby, we're gonna wanna get a press release anyway. Do we have somebody doing our marketing right
Yes, we do, her name's Hannah, remember, she's the one that works for us, and then she has her own business.
now? That's right.
The only other thing I want to say, and I'm going to be as diplomatic as I can, there needs
Because
to
I am
be a
delicate.
clear understanding of what the operating budget is and what the debt service fund is. Because my concern is, we're not collecting money here, but we're going to ask for big bucks over here. And I don't know how to play with the money. So I'm just throwing that out there.
Meaning what, that we.
If we try to renew the bond,
Yeah.
and we are having a facility study done,
Right.
and at the same time,
And
we
now we're
decided
not
to
gonna-
write off $18,000 in
But-
fines.
The thing is,
I mean, that's the concern?
Correct, and,
The optics?
correct.
well,
And I'm sorry, Nikki, and I do remember when I started, when I looked at what we were doing as far, we had a $70,000 debt in undue, materials not returned, and yes, when I came, because, and I'm just throwing that out there. So
At
we
that
did-
time, though, we probably didn't have Evergreen where, like, I know I get an email 3 days before something's due. So we have
Right.
more proactive measures in place now.
It certainly saved me hundreds of dollars in fees.
Me too.
So-
Me too.
also the debt, that 18,000, we don't know how much of it is actually lost materials. If it's fines, that's not, if it's just fines from late fees, that's not really lost money.
That's a good point.
And if it's spread over
Yeah, it
since
is lost
2013.
money.
Right.
I mean, I budget around 30,000 for fines and fees and meeting room expenses, all of that. So we would lose that.
Well, this is how I felt from the beginning when we were talking about this topic, that we can set our budget and balance our budget without counting on late fees. And I still feel that way, and that we should do that and not count on people paying their taxes plus having extra fees on top of that, especially because the patrons who check our material out through their libraries that don't have fines, they don't pay fines. Just our own, our own citizens who are paying taxes here are the ones paying the fines.
If somebody is at a fine-free library and they borrow our materials, they pay fines to us.
Oh, okay. I misunderstood that a couple years ago when we were talking about that.
They are supposed to pay them.
Correct. It's our materials we fund.
But our leverage is that they can't borrow from us, they can, right?
No, we don't do that unless they get locked or barred or whatever.
And at this
So we
point, our
don't-
recovery rate on fines, it sounds like is.
8%.
8%.
So, and I really do hate playing devil's advocate.
No,
I think we need to look at
I agree with you with the
whole
optics,
picture.
and that may impact the implementation and how we publicize things.
Or, yeah. or whether
Nikki,
we
I
do
thought
it.
asked a valuable question, kind of sidebar question, which is, are these actually two separate topics? Amnesty, debt forgiveness, and going fine free. One is
Did I
future
understand there's an
policy,
amnesty
one is.
policy right now, like during the summer, where you get a certain amount paid off?
We during summer reading program, we do like read away fines. Sometimes we do a food drive where they bring in food and they get so much off for, you know, can of peas they brought in or whatever. That answer the question? Okay.
And yes, if you don't mind just bringing basically a kind of a more specific proposal, it's not, would that be helpful, or does anyone else have a better idea?
I would like to see, like Nikki had said, though, fines as opposed to lost materials, because if the materials are still lost, I think that one, I don't think we can forgive those lost materials, but the fines, if we're gonna go fine free or something, what's the difference? And what are we looking at for that? Because if we have those two separate things, because then I would think that if we're doing amnesty, does that include lost materials as well? It's just come back to the library.
I mean, that's up for you, that's for you guys to decide.
That's what I was wondering.
But
I think that we were saying.
But even if a proposal could suggest a way to go and, or at least identify the issues and then.
I got you. I'm on it. It's fine. It's fine. We'll get there.
Okay.
I'm glad you're being judicious. I really am. You're taking your time.
Well, there's, several of us have spoken with a longtime former board member who is very hostile to this fine-free situation. You know, because I think he caught us. Did he catch you too? Okay. And so if we do it, we're going to have to all, if we do adopt this, we are going to have to be missionaries for it. Yes, and we are going to have to be, that we act.
Which I think timing-wise, I do question whether or not it makes sense to do it as Mary is outgoing versus Mr. Ashby incoming.
It's a big policy
I don't
change.
necessarily want to do a big policy change right as.
Oh, I'm fine to give this to Mr. Ashby.
Booted it. Nice.
It depends on if he wants credit or blame.
Right?
It depends on which it is.
Right. I think very similarly along those lines, that would be a big policy shift and, you know, perhaps a good torch for a new director to pick up and carry. I do really appreciate the word that I heard Mr. Ashby say, and that is just disproportionate.
Yeah.
And that
It's
the
regressive.
fines.
It's regressive.
Yes, exactly. So, that is very compelling for me, but yes, it is a big policy change, so maybe it's.
And there's really no, I like things clean, so January 1st, 2023, but if it's the middle of the 2023, that would be fine
Yeah.
too.
Let's keep it on,
Okay,
on a
but
table.
in the meantime, you still want me to come back next month with the information you just asked me?
Oh, I think so.
Okay.
Is that?
Yeah, I would like to see at least those
At least
numbers.
gives us a starting point.
Fines
Yeah.
versus
Yes,
lost
versus
lost
materials.
material.
I would also like a little clarity about that $18,900 in late fees billed, if that's just this year, or if that's cumulative since records were kept.
Yeah, given the size of our population, that 18,000, that's a shocking figure if that's in 1 year.
Yeah.
Oh, it's not to be.
Okay. All right.
It really isn't.
Positive pay, this was the program that David Smith discussed, that I cross-examined him on.
Yes, you did.
Good call.
Brutally.
David and I are good friends, and I trust his judgment. I'm not hostile to that specifically, I'm just hostile to the thanks.
I just recently encountered a family friend who had their bank accounts hacked, and it immediately brought that topic back to mind.
It's just the old, the FDIC, and those are supposed to be guaranteed, and, we're the bank's responsibility. But
Yeah.
I scream in the wind, it doesn't make any
Right.
difference. It doesn't
The
change
FDIC
anything.
is not gonna do anything to help us protect the money that we collect from taxpayers,
No.
so that's not.
So, does anyone feel comfortable offering a motion regarding the positive pay program?
I would make a motion that we participate in the positive pay program.
Lori, is move to participate in positive pay program offered on all accounts that have been
Yes.
offered by our bank. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconds. Further discussion? Chris?
Is that put into the budget?
Mary, do we have enough to pay that in the budget?
Oh, yeah, it's not that much at all.
Okay. I just want-
No, that's fine. I was busy looking at, you guys, I'm sorry, I'm changing the subject, but you should have this in your board packet, which is a list of all the items that have been checked out on how much. And if you look at it, it's 89,000. The total amount of things
Oh.
since 2013, it's not 80.
Okay.
So I think you really need to look at the numbers on this page.
Okay.
And it's in your packet, so. Oh, you need the number?
Circulation report?
My page says 13, but I
13, yeah,
think you
circulation.
guys'
The
page is
circulation.
our number, because Linda tries to do it back on. Gotcha.
No, it's okay.
The motion and second, any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of having the library participate in the positive pay program through our bank, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion passes. And tell David that I didn't argue about it at all.
Okay, will do.
That I needed to break a tie, I would have voted for it. Because I think I do trust him. New business, election of officers. Did the nominating committee have an opportunity to meet? I can't remember who we put
I
on.
will tell you that Carmen made a very valiant effort to bring that committee together, and I failed.
Okay.
So,
That's okay.
I failed. I apologize.
Are the current officers willing to retain their current positions, Chris?
Yes.
Nikki? I would be willing. Does anybody else want to do any of these jobs?
I need to say something. Just so you know, Chris comes up to serve his final term in June of 2023.
Okay.
That's it.
So it might be,
You're done June 2023?
no, he can serve another 4 years.
No, can you?
Yeah, he's only his third. You were, I guess it must have been before him.
No, Greg was after mine, but he finished a term, someone's term.
Okay.
Sorry, I
No,
just
okay.
wanted to put that out there.
Okay. But you at least through June, if not after.
If not, yes.
Does anybody want to jump into the treasurer stuff? Sorry.
Oh, fiduciary stuff's fun, come on.
Our mom's the cat likes to wait.
Okay, well, then I would entertain a motion to elect, or to re-elect the current officers by acclamation.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Moved and seconded to re-elect the current board officers by acclamation. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
I had no.
Good job.
All right.
It's right there in the train as well.
Yeah, officers. Mary?
The Peabody Public Library Policy Manual, how about if we try to do that when I get all the stuff updated?
Well, that's the only thing that I think we would want to change, or do you want to do it only once? Because everything else looked fine.
Okay, so if you want to
Except for the
approve it.
fines.
Okay, yeah, I'm fine with that.
Even how it sits now would be good to update it because the numbers need to be updated.
Yes, yes.
Okay,
Yeah. I'm
Is that a motion?
That is a motion. I move that we approve the updates to the policy manual December 2022.
Your second?
40 seconds.
40 seconds. Chris makes the motion. Is there further discussion? Any concerns about the policy change? Hearing none, all in favor of adopting the changes to the policy manual presented to the board, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Policies, changes are adopted.
Having the change history printed out is helpful compared to previous.
Or the red line? Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Okay.
Especially because now it says it needs to be submitted to the other department.
Mary, then the compensation, sort of matrix, table matrix.
Correct. So I don't think we have to read the whole thing. The only things I do want to tell you is, if you look at the employee name, so that would be the third page in, you see I've listed myself and the amount of money I would make in the 2 months I would be here. And then down at the bottom, I added the new ED using the highest amount that we had as an offer. So I wanted to make sure you knew about that.
Don't we have to adjust that? Because it's, that number, as good as it is over our stated amount.
But that doesn't matter.
That part doesn't matter?
No,
That's
it's
just-
just that we're saying.
It is, that higher amount under new ED is put in at that higher. On the table, isn't it?
So you can,
Yeah, but that number, the total number, is over that.
No.
do you want me to,
That's all.
yeah, but you don't have to.
No, I know, it'll be in record after. And it's above our stated amount, that's all I'm saying.
Okay.
So do you want to not approve it? Or are you okay approving it at the higher end? And if it's under, it's under, as opposed to going over?
I leave that.
He's the treasurer, so.
I just saw the numbers and it's above what we had said, that's all.
I would entertain the motion to approve the resolution, the organizational plan. And again,
It's $6.40 over, but still, that's all.
So
It
moved.
was no.
Yeah, I write you a check for
I was
$6.40.
I'll chip in $1.
I love you, Mr. B. I love you.
Mr. B.
You know what? Every taxpayer in this community should be very thankful for you. They should. Because I am. And that is not sarcastic.
Lori has moved to approve the resolution presented, however, is there a second?
Equal second.
Nikki seconds. Further discussion? Mr. Bechtel, keep if you have concerns.
No, that was,
That was the-
that is,
okay.
from what we're doing, that is my concern, because it is just out, is the correct term purview, is that, no, it's not. It's just right outside of the.
Yeah, it's in the purview.
No.
I don't know. It's been moved and seconded. I'm not hearing any other discussion, so all in favor of adopting the resolution to approve the organization compensation plan 2023 as presented, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, she will move that around to sign.
You are going to have to sign in two places. So here and then under I.
And one of these other liberal artsy people is going to have to figure out numbers, and Chris never goes off. Realize that, right? Right?
I'm an engineer. I don't want to deal with numbers. But I'm not liberal arts, Steve.
Okay, but that doesn't mean I'm a number guy.
It's really, I mean, Chris, other than it submitting stuff, Linda does basically all of it. And we,
Oh, I know.
Amy double checks, she
I know.
double checks score.
I just, yeah, I just double checked work, but that's all I just
Look,
wanted
if Chris
for
leaves,
to know.
if Chris don't gets booted, which I hope to heaven doesn't happen, you guys can throw my name in the hat.
Okay.
Also, whoever appoints
Right,
that
there's-
position,
heard that.
specifically look for someone who wants it.
There we go. We're ready for the director's report, Mary.
All right. I have to say, this has been one of the more fun board meetings I've been to, although we had a lot of fun. Okay.
1782, I want to let you know that that did come in. Again, we are short $225,915. That's nothing new. That's usually what happens. However, since we have a great cash flow and our banks we're good. We're doing really, really well. So we're in great shape financially. And I did include the acronym explanations. So people, I know you know them, but not everybody knows that, you know, lit is local text.
I think that's
Okay.
helpful. The one thing, you get into everybody's got their own acronyms. I think it's great to have a little glossary.
Linda and I went to the annual report and bookkeeping webinar, and the big thing that came out of there was back when we introduced internal controls and we had to do policy, at that time, I went ahead and had Chris, who is the treasurer, go ahead and sign off about training. Well, that's supposed to be done, he's supposed to sign off on training every year. Since I hadn't done that, I contacted and was told that he could go back and he could approve them because I'd been doing it. I'd been training and putting it at the back of each year's internal controls policy. So one of the nights you guys met in my office, Chris stayed over and took care of all that.
Because I was treasurer for the whole line, so that's fine.
Well, actually, Tony was treasurer for a couple of years, but they were fine with you signing off on it. So, the attorney issues. The first one, nothing actually came of that one. The second one, it's getting kind of ugly. So I'm just letting you know, I'm working with John Whiteleather to try to resolve it. So
Is it a legitimate thing?
that's what I need to find out. So Mark Parker came in for like a couple of days and set up that beautiful village, holiday village up there. It's so neat. So if you get a chance, you should stop by and look at it.
Is that all his stuff?
It's all his, well, I think he's got more. That's just a part of it.
Wow.
Yeah, it's really, really neat. And people have been coming in to see it, so that's great.
That's cool.
We already talked about fine free. The letter from Jill Daniels was just an FYI. The MPM facility study, I expect he's going to be in sometime before the end of the year to make this first, go through with the building and come up with ideas or whatever. I thought it was, what do you think, Spencer? Did you fall asleep during the discussion?
No, I didn't have a lot of context for necessarily anything. Though I've heard now in about 7 different scenarios the idea of moving things around. So,
Yeah.
including but not limited to the director's office.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's interesting. I would like to, as I was looking back on it, I would like for them to continue exploring ways to help reduce utilities, ongoing operation expenses, like things like solar. Is that an option that we can look at? That kind of thing. But no, other than that, I thought it was a really good discussion. I thought it was some really good ideas.
We kind of went out there though, didn't we?
We did.
Yeah, I
When we started
put on
talking
the
about
loading
expanding an
dock.
elevator, I got nervous.
Well, and the whole, yeah, it was getting kind of scary, but it was sort of fun.
We gotta have ideas. If we don't dream big, we can't cut it back. So I'd rather start big and not have any ideas at all.
Another reminder about Staff Recognition Day. Then Stanley Steamer did come out. I met him over here the day after Thanksgiving because it worked out perfect. We're closed, they can take care of it, I'll have plenty of time to dry. We did have some stains that we could not get out, but for the most part, the carpet looks pretty decent. And then the policy manual updates, which I will make all the changes that you have suggested, make sure I get all the correct fees on there. And I think,
Did we give you for the 19th, did you get volunteers to come for that?
I have Chris and Spencer. Are you coming?
Yeah, well, that was what I wanted to make sure that
Good.
we did
Okay,
discuss
good
that.
deal.
Should we be there early or late?
If you could,
I
well,
have it on my calendar too.
didn't I say Greg?
No.
You said Chris and Spencer.
Uh-oh, I didn't need to say Chris. Why do I look at you and call you Chris, and I call him Greg? I'm switching them. It's like you when I used to
Something
call
about this
Cindy.
building is doing that. It's.
Okay, Greg, Spencer, and Chris.
Yes, I can go.
I got it.
Gotta sit down.
It's free food. I learned to not pass that up in college.
I wanted to let you know, this is the book, remember the challenge book that we got last month? This is the book that
Was suggested.
was suggested, and so I'm just gonna pass it around for you to take a gander at.
Suggested by the person who submitted the challenge?
Yes, correct.
And you're not gonna tell us what you think. You're gonna let us get our own.
I'm gonna let you just.
Okay, I appreciate that. We will look and see.
And
Keep
then,
going.
Lori, I have a question for you about the past district's money.
Yes.
We're gonna continue the program.
Okay.
I really never moved the money into, personnel services, because that bumps up our operating.
Okay.
And then it makes us an APQ. So it's okay if I keep spending it down for
Yep.
whatever I need?
Yep. It's,
Okay.
it's,
Okay.
yep, you're good.
I believe that is everything.
Is this book currently in our library?
No, I had
No.
to get it from another location.
Borrowed it from.
But we could help decide whether or not maybe we should.
Very interesting.
Any further business? Chris?
You gotta make claims.
I have made
Oh, I
plans, yeah, yeah.
completely,
Okay.
that wouldn't have been a problem. You would not let us go without doing that. That
Well, I don't know. There's been times that.
I would ask the board members to review the claims and the financials. It looks like we did address the problem with the gas
Mhm.
was taken care of. That looks like that dropped.
It looks
way back down.
good.
Are they gonna give us any money back?
Are you kidding me? They never charged us for the one time we had a 0 bill.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Twice. That's good.
Well, and then after that, after those, you reviewed the financials, I would entertain a motion to approve the claims.
Make a motion to approve the claims for this one.
Chris has moved to approve the claims as presented. Is there a second?
Carmen will second.
Seconds, discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of paying the claims as presented, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Claims are approved. It's not opposed by me. Any further business now?
No.
Hearing none, I would entertain a motion to adjourn for the year.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Dave's this one as well.
Adjourn, is there a second?
That's for seconds.
Yes, for seconds. All in favor? Aye, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. We are adjourned.